Okay, so here's another question about comparing Framer versus Card. So should I start learning Framer or should I start learning Card? And I'm going to tell you, as a non-designer type, who's somebody who considers himself more of a writer and communicator and entrepreneur in some, larger context, I am on July 10th, 2025, having used Framer for the last, 18 months or so, sporadically. I still consider myself a complete newbie, like a novice at Framer. Like there's still more that I don't know how to do than I do know how to do. But Framer makes creating beautiful websites so damn easy that I can create stuff that makes it look like I'm a Framer expert very, very quickly to those who are not in the know. So if you're, the normal person in the world who's selling a service, a mental health professional, a dentist, a doctor, a car detailer, a hairstylist, I can create something in Framer that makes it look like I know what I'm doing because I'm using templates, and Framer is just so damn delicious and beautiful that that you can come across looking far more skilled than you are. Card, you can learn literally pretty much everything there is to know in a, single weekend, let's say, right? I'm sure there are things about Card that I can't do now, even after, 3 or 4 years of using it. But there's very little that I couldn't do in Card that I couldn't help somebody else also do in Card who's asking for my advice. And when you're working with clients, they will, ask you for your advice. If you're giving a project over to, a hairstylist or an esthetician or a dentist or a doctor, and they need to make a change or they need to do X, Y, or Z, and you don't know how to do that thing, that's embarrassing. And it's also not good for your client, right? You want to be a genuine expert at the recommendations that you are, with the tools, the tech, the software, the services that you're recommending if you have a local agency or a niche agency, etc. Right? With Framer, I'd be much more hesitant to really get involved in the upkeep, maintenance, and the changes that someone made or wanted to make in their business going forward, especially design-wise, right? Moving things around. I mean, changing fonts and, that sort of thing, and doing those sorts of things are very easy and simple and straightforward. But, it makes me nervous. Like when I'm working with someone, I'm just like, hey, this is a tool, a tech that I love, that, here are some things I've created. Here are some templates that I can share with you. However, just understand, I am not an expert at this design tool. So, I'll also use that little, I'll plant a flag there to remind myself and those of you who are listening to this that this is a reason why simplicity sells, right? It sells for your clients, to their clients or their audience or their potential clients, but it also sells really well for you as a service-related professional. The more the more templatized you make your offers, the more simple and straightforward, like a one-page link in bio style site, you can't fuck that up, right? So it's very difficult to make a mistake if that's what you're offering your clients. If you're offering, if I'm in the context of the conversation we're having here and this recording I'm making now, if I'm giving you a one-page card-based link in bio as your first website or your next website, and you want to change a link from Instagram to, whatever, right? Or, from one product to the next, or it's very easy to say, hey, go here, click on this box, enter this in, and update, and you're finished. Or I can do it for you, versus, if someone's designing a multi-page Framer like site with all these cool animations and components and, all this new stuff that's always coming out on a platform like that. it's a lot more stressful. Therefore, I wouldn't offer that, or I wouldn't recommend you offer that unless you're an expert, right? I would much rather sell, 50 $1,000, simple framer sites for the year, right? Like at $99 a month or whatever it is, or just $1,000 for the year, or even $500 for the year. That's a simple, one-page link in bio alternative that looks fantastic, that sells people's products, that has a newsletter form, etc., and that's a back end opportunity. Then sell sell seven $3,000 like fancy websites that require a lot of stress, a lot of picayune sort of like nitpicky kind of follow up asks by your client, right? Where they're constantly like, hey, what if we change this color here on this element and make this like flash a little differently? And I don't want to do that. That's not my skill set. Unless it's yours, I'd recommend just keeping very productized, templatized sorts of services, like a one-page website with a newsletter form and or testimonials, right? Which are all like widgetized on card and also very easy component wise to implement on Framer, right? So again, those are the sorts of things that I like and recommend for myself and the few people that are part of our little business. But if you're a wonderful designer who likes big, flashy, splashy projects, certainly go do that. That's just not my gig. So I recommend for most people who listen to me, for marketing and, business building advice, to keep it, start small, think simple, and then scale later. All right. Teach what you know, do what you love, wake up the world with your work. As always, this is part of a new private audio course for tiny agencies, and we'll be sharing lots of stuff like this in the group. If you're interested in joining us, I'll have a link below. Thanks so much. I appreciate you as always, and I appreciate you listening.